Hello everyone, welcome again to this channel. In case today is your first time of clicking to this channel, I so much appreciate that. I say thank you very much, and if you have not subscribed, please consider to do so by hitting that red button below that says subscribe. By the side there is a little bell, please try to turn it on. The essence of that bell is for you to get notified or update each time I upload a new video, so you will be the first to check it out. And if you have done that, may Almighty God bless you abundantly. And to my returning subscribers, I thank you so much for always coming by to watch my video. Each time I upload a new video, you click it to watch it. I say may Almighty God bless you and grant you all your heart desire. In this my channel, I'll be bringing a lot of stories, different types of videos, different types of story, like celebrity videos, stories, and government or tips, and also how to make your hair at home. So my people, if you want to enjoy all what I have just said, please turn that notification bell for more updates. So I brought to you a video which we will watch together. Please stay tuned as we watch the video together.
Welcome back. Now we're going to be talking vaccines, and of course COVID-19 is still a huge factor and a determining sort of factor for just the way the world still functions. And we're joined now by an expert in this field who has continued to do great work, Dr. Alera Roberts. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. I want to start as quickly as you can. Let us understand the state of vaccines with regards to Nigeria now, because I know the latest statistics I saw said something around under 2% fully vaccinated in the country. How many more vaccines are we expecting to start with, and what is the rollout looking like, as quickly as you can?
Well, we're expecting any number that we can get. The truth of the matter is that we are part of the COVAX initiative, so we'll get whatever is available. The problem is more a case of production globally and then getting our quota. But everything that we've asked for so far, we're getting. I think there's another 30 million coming in. And certainly by 2022 next year, we should be able to vaccinate at least a quarter of the population, giving them fully vaccinated, that is. As to the rollout, it has been extremely efficient, given everything that's going on in the country, and you know what I'm talking about. But this has been extremely efficient, and we have been able to leverage very strongly on our experience with the polio vaccination. So, so far, very good. That's the best I can say.
Okay, I mean, we're trying to stay very optimistic here because, I think I even heard something about the U.S. President Biden trying to also ship out 500 million vaccines to the rest of the world.
Oh, he better.
America is overstocked.
America is overstocked, and America is going to be on the receiving end of unvaccinated immigrants if they don't ship out what they are hoarding very quickly and make sure that the rest of the world can get vaccinated. No one is safe until everyone is safe.
Very true. What is Nigeria's biggest issue? Is it the lack of availability, or is there a lot of hesitancy?
Well, hesitancy is very difficult to judge in a situation where there's, very little, where the availability is short. So far, there are so many sites in the island in Lagos State that are, crowded day after day after day, So it's very difficult to judge hesitancy with a shortage.
Okay, speaking into that now, because we've had certain countries have made it mandatory. Some other countries are going through these debates. Of course, the biggest example is the U.S., where there's a constant political battle now with vaccines. It's become such a political conversation, seeping into election conversations even. But some other countries have made it mandatory. We're hearing, I think, Denmark, I can't remember, is the first country in the world now, I think, or in Europe, to be fully open, because they've gotten at least 75% vaccination rates fully, which is, of course, crosses the threshold for herd immunity. We are still a long way from that. But do you think it's a good thing, considering what the world is going through, for vaccinations to be mandatory?
That's actually, I've debated that in my mind over several days and weeks ever since I first heard about it. But if you recall, even during the time of the lockdowns and whatnot, and whether things should be made mandatory, should people be sanctioned, as a public health physician, I hold strong reservations towards making anything literally by force, and except it's really for public good should anything be made mandatory. But in our case in Nigeria, it's very difficult to say vaccines should be mandatory when you can't even provide enough for 50% of the population. So I don't think that's a question we should even be asking now. The question we should be asking now is how soon can we get 50% of our population vaccinated? I mean, those who even want it. Let's not even talk about the hesitants, talk about those who are, who can't get it, who won't get it. Let's even talk about vaccinating 50% of the population, 50% of whom I know want to be vaccinated, want to be protected.
But with a virus that's killed millions of people, does that qualify as public good, like you said? I mean, trying to keep the world safe.
It does qualify, but the truth of the matter is the better thing to do is to be able to change human behavior, human perception. The danger with going down the mandatory route is that supposing one day they say, something else should be made mandatory that you really don't want to do. Everybody should have a mark on their body, as a tattoo, or everybody should have a chip inserted, or everybody should have a this or a that or the other. That's the danger with the mandatory routes. So, it may seem very innocuous making immunization mandatory, but there's a danger in opening that door. That may not be something we want to do. They may make it mandatory for children, anybody born with an intellectual disability to be put down. How far can it go? These are the dangers with making things mandatory. So it has to be something that's very carefully considered. It's always better to try and change human perception, change human behavior, give reasoned arguments so that you can, empower people to do the right thing or to take informed decisions.
So, okay, I want to talk on something that people have called sort of vaccinism, sort of drawing from racism, especially with regards to the brand of vaccines that certain countries are getting. We've seen a lot of countries. I think there was a Nigerian artist who put out a PSA saying the Nigerian vaccine card is almost worth nothing, because I think he traveled, and I think at certain borders they didn't recognize it. And there was also a piece, I think, that was titled, "I'm Nigerian, I'm vaccinated, Europe won't let me in." I think for a lot of the people who got the first batch of vaccinations, correct me if I'm wrong, in Nigeria got the AstraZeneca, I believe. I don't know what other brands we've had here. I think Moderna has come in probably. And I actually was watching the Emmys a few days ago, and one of the hosts talked about ranking the vaccine brands and, put them in order based on efficacy, because I think Pfizer has the highest efficacy. So is Nigeria at sort of at a disadvantage considering the kind of brands we've gotten, seeing what is happening to us? Or are we just being discriminated against because we're Nigerians, you think?
I would rather say the latter than the former. I'm sorry. But then to be honest with you, everything about COVID has been so highly politicized that I'm not even surprised that this is being politicized as well. And I remember somebody asked a question way back when, which is the best COVID vaccine? And I said the best COVID vaccine is the one you can get, because ultimately it's about the person, it's about you, the individual, and whether you're protected against severe disease and hospitalization. Granted, just like in cars, everybody would want a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes, but if you can get the Innocent Motors and it's moving and it's getting you from A to B and the air conditioner's working, hey, I'll drive it.
Makes sense. So I know we had you on the show a while ago talking about, COVID, and, I think things were pretty much at its peak the first time we had you on the show. What have you noticed differently now with Nigerians, sort of the way they react to this virus? Is there more sort of awareness of what it is, or are people now a little even more careless about, how they carry on with dealing with this?
That's a really good question, and one that has, needs a lot of thought, in the sense that what I've noticed is that COVID has certainly exposed most brutally the gaps in access to healthcare, the gaps in service delivery, the gaps in awareness of disease causation. So there's so many gaps that COVID has exposed in our polity, in our socio-economy, that it's actually scary how much we have lost over the last 3-4 decades. Things that, how is it that in the 21st century we're teaching people how to wash hands? These are questions that absolutely baffle me. How is it that we're teaching people the essence of personal and environmental hygiene in the 21st century? I mean, I don't know. So I've seen a lot of gaps. I've seen a lot of families being tipped into unexpected difficulty because suddenly a loved one is ill for any reason, and access to healthcare is punitively expensive. And these are things that I've seen. So people, I wouldn't like to say people have become careless, but I think people have become a little fatalistic, that, well, what will be, will be. God help us all.
Yeah. Before we go now quickly, we're talking before you came on air about, COVID doesn't seem like it's going to go away. And we're still talking COVID and the pandemic and lockdowns and all of that. Looking at a year from now, with the way the vaccines seem to be opening up the world a little, where do you think we'll be September 2022?
I hope we'll still be here talking. I really hope we will still be here talking. But in truth, there are a lot of, we are worried about new and emerging infections that are because several things are happening. The climate change has definitely exposed areas of the earth, areas of the planet to new risks that have hitherto either been dealt with and we thought we were over it and they are re-emerging, or risks that we didn't even know existed. I mean, we're seeing new interfaces of humans and animals, which is what has led to the emergence of the One Health concept. But, these are things that we are watching with trepidation. And the truth of the matter is we simply need to be ready. So a lot of the systems that need to be in place to get us ready for that. Are people ready to accept science as the leading voice in what we do, in where we go, in how we say things? Are people ready to strengthen health systems and bring equity to health systems? These are things we really need to be thinking about and talking about. And people need to be ready. Have people got universal access to health? Everybody across board, because it doesn't matter how well placed you are in society. If somebody, your driver, staff members, family member is ill, you're affected. And these are things we really need to strengthen up, shore up, and get ready for.
Thank you very much. Food for thought there indeed. Always a pleasure to have you, Dr. Alero Roberts. Thanks for your insight today.
Thank you.